It's Caner Tip Tuesday. And today, hey, what happens when you don't have your cane? Right? You're human, you left it in the car, you dropped it, you're going to spring into action, they take the cane away from you, now you don't have a cane. What do you do? It can happen. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to be doing, but before we do that, that's right, if you like the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so that you don't miss any future content. And avail yourself. You have free resources. The first one is go ahead and text the letter CCC to the number on the screen. In less than 24 hours, we will be on a phone call with you, discovering what it is that attracts you most about what you're seeing here. And the most important thing is, how are you going to get cane trained wherever you reside? How can we do that effectively and efficiently? That's number one. And then look below, because there's two main private Facebook groups that all you have to do, you have Cane Flow, you have Sobrevivencia. If you're following us on the Sobrevivencia model, and just request entry, and that will let you right in. Listen, it's just a fact. I hear people all the time say, well, that's why I train with the cane, for self-protection. Why would I be looking at anything else? Because if you're like me, you're human, you make mistakes, and I'm telling you, we hang around with cane most of the time when we're going out there, unless you need it to ambulate, but even then you can drop the cane. The bottom line is that you can find yourself without the advantages of the tool, and that goes for any tool, whether it be a firearm, whether it be whatever it is that you use, right? Who you are in self-protection, to protect yourself or your family, cannot, should not, and cannot be dependent 100% just on that tool. So what happens when you don't have it? Now, the good news for those of you that are following ACSD is that from the beginning, 3 decades ago, when I put this whole thing together, it already came with an empty hand system. So ACSD caners don't have to go outside of what they're already doing. And the rule of thumb is the cane teaches the empty hand and not the other way around. Those that have tried to do that, they've learned, oh, now I see, if you try to do it backwards, it doesn't work. The principles here teach the empty hand. That's how I put it together. Now, listen, I want to at least appeal to your common sense in that you need to have an empty hand system, right? What are the advantages that you're having? What do you lose when you don't have the cane? Well, naturally, one of the first things you lose is the reach advantage that you have for keeping somebody at bay. The other thing that you're losing is that the tool itself, right? It tends to be a bone crusher. Now you don't have that, so you have the hands instead. And you know, you're not going to break this cane's heart. Even when it chips, you weaken the wood and so on and so forth. But you can break your hands if you don't know what you're doing, how you're striking. And then also what becomes vitally important, there's 3 things. The third one is that where and how you strike with the hands matter. That's important. Let me show you what I mean. So all the moves that you do with that cane, so you do a movement here, whether it be figure 8, your strikes, your power shots, 2 hands, 1 hand, they have an ACSD, what we call an empty hand translation. Now, ACSD is essentially a palm heel and a hammer fist system, because from the onset, when you have individuals that are coming in that they are not conditioned, their fists are not conditioned, we are enamored with punching to the head, and you can fracture your hand. And that's the last thing that you want. So the movements that you do, right? So if I'm dealing over here and I go to strike, rather than punching, and we do have punches, we're very particular about the fist and vertical punching and all that, but you're striking, and then it also leaves. So if I go with a palm heel shot over here, also I can rake here, and look at how close my thumb is to the eye. You're striking areas that are closest to the brain and that are going to give you the biggest response, because you lost the advantage that you have. See, with this thing, it's very forgiving to you and your lack of skill, but it is not forgiving to the opponent. Obviously, she throws a strike, and however, even if I'm not looking, I hit here, it crushes bone. You can't afford to do that with an individual. So this not necessarily, right? You have to know, you don't want to do anything that's not going to give you the greatest return on that. So the anatomical targeting and in the sequencing all matter. And let me show you what I mean. So she's grabbing me here. Normally with the cane, I might do something like this. I just struck the bottom. I come up. If she was striking up, I'm going to catch that here. I come down and strike right up close and maybe even follow it up here with an extension. That's called an extension, right? When I don't have this tool now, I have to, my angle, and immediately when I go, so if I'm going to the eyes here, right, and I do this movement, I strike down. What I'm doing is I'm striking, and in a particular sequence that opens this area up, leaves this area up here, which is close to the brain, open, and I'm striking on both sides of the body. Why? Because if you're only relegating yourself to one side, that's effective and that works. The brain can handle that. It's covering and responding to one side, but when you're striking both sides, now in this movement that I'm doing here, those that are an empty hand level 1, we opened up today, they know exactly what this represents, and that is we're striking both sides of the body, because that is more overwhelming to your opponent's brain. It's more dizzying, so to speak. So in an application like this, where I come open this up, look at how it leaves this open here, and then I can step in. Or the extension that we did, there's one side, and then it's up to you whether you're going hammer fist here, or look at this vital area, how exposed that is. You lose the distance factor. So whereas before, I could literally keep somebody at bay here. What if I'm finding myself now in this, hey, I don't want to trouble, this is wait, whoa, here it comes, or that straight punch. I have to be able to respond quick enough and explosively enough that now to the inside, that arm is jammed and my fingers are already to the thumbs. Look at the ear right here so that I can bring it down. Headbutt if I need to move out of there, or however it is that I'm going to move. Thank you so much for that. And that comes straight from base movement, right? Advanced trainers will know that exercise as SERVES, which is an acronym. And whatever you're doing with that cane, you're going to set it down and go empty-handed. So the moral of the story here is, listen, and over-reliance, even the elite, SWAT, tactical units, they know that an over-dependence on a firearm, you can't, like I had the head of the SWAT tactical division came to see me to see the carryover that the impact tool could have, right, to their firearms and whatnot, because of the same concern. You can't shoot everybody in a riot, right? So they take control of this, the shields, the whole bit. You need to have another something else, and that is ultimately an empty hand system. And there is a way. It's a great thing today if you're coming to ACSD, because in 2023, unlike in the past, you could only learn the cane. We only had the cane course available to you, but today caners that are coming in from the onset, just from their foundational training, you can choose to say, I want to learn the cane and the empty hand the original way, the way it was put together, the full strength ACSD system, the way it was originally taught and was meant to be. No longer can you come down to Miami to an immersion and say, oh, I only want the cane. Then it's not the system for you, because ACSD is a cane and empty hand system. Okay, they work like this. And boy, we're excited. I am excited, and it fuels me to see the level of interest now. We're coming back full circle, and it is the most requested topic within ACSD today is the empty hand system, because it's built right in. But somebody has to point that out to you, right? And so again, it all begins with a phone call. Text the letters on the screen to the number, and again, in less than 24 hours, we'll have a conversation. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter if you're confined to a chair. The principles work the same. We know how to circumvent. The ACSD certified coaches are the only ones that are trained to go ahead and do that. They know how to circumvent your training. But let's see where you are and how we can serve you best. I'm Joe Robaina for American Cane Self-Defense. Thanks for watching. Keep caning. Stay safe.